Good morning all, it's 10:30 Saturday. I've done a video yesterday, Friday, on about the SES2K update. Some of the things I forgot to mention in there that I'm going to quickly add on now, and then I'll tag it into the comment section underneath so you can follow on. When somebody writes to you and they've given you a liability order, or they're writing to you and they're giving you a summons to court and it says the Chief Justice's clerk, no human being has put his signature to that. No judge is on a warrant if they don't put a legible signature in wet ink with an embossed crown seal at the top, because after the warrant's drawn up, the judge is the last thing that's happened is the seal gets put onto the warrant and the judge needs to know what he's sealing. So everything is on there, and the judge would look at it and see, and then he'd put his name to it, because otherwise if he does it when it's blank, and he does a lot, it's just like signing a blank check. So no judge in a civil dispute would really stamp a warrant to say that people need to come in and take goods to the value of for council tax enforcement or for parking charge enforcement. The Nottingham business centre that I mentioned yesterday, that have sent me a letter for charge notifications. So yeah, don't worry. I'm going to tell Nottingham about this charge, the same as I've told the council. I've written to the council when I got the summons from a council tax, and it was signed by the Chief Justice's clerk, and I addressed it back to the Chief Finance Officer, because I didn't have a name to write to. I worked with Roger when Roger was in the group, and I asked him questions, and he said the best course of action would be like this. I asked him for his liability insurance number, because ultimately when somebody hasn't followed due process and they're trying to extort money from the people by using statute law, that's never right. You can never make money, like traffic offences, to make money out of the people through offences and use a computer automated system and not go before the judge, and to not follow the Bill of Rights, and to the Bill of Rights, all fines and forfeits are void unless brought before a judge and done in a court of law. A computer automated system sending your council tax, administration court liability orders, summonses, warrants out for your arrest, all unlawful. Nobody's put the name on the liability order. For somebody to take you to court, there has to be a contract. The council needs to have a contract to be showing to go to court to say, me, the council, whether it be for the council tax and liability order, or whether it be for the parking charge notifications of bus lane contraventions that I've done, if they say that there is a case to be had, then they need to take me to a small claims court and get the money, not be passing it on to gangsters, bullies, people to come round, knock at the door, intimidate, threaten, commit trespass, not have the relevant paperwork, not have a warrant that's got a wet ink signature with the judge's legible name, so we can obviously then set a recourse action to go after the judge and say due process hasn't been followed, extorting money from the people using computer automated systems, things like this. When you haven't been under the Bill of Rights, you haven't been had a fair trial of anything, and you're entitled to that in this country. They don't follow due process, they don't have the correct paperwork, there's no name on the judge's order, there's no name on the liability order for you to follow up and put proceedings back to them with regard to this. So and then at the top of all of that, we've now got the UCC code division section to consider, because obviously money is classed as water, and on the land money is water, and the judge is at the top of the court system, and he's like sits at the judge at the bench, Latin for bank, so the judge is in control of the money in the court. Now in nature, a river sits in a bank, and a bank is a V shape, and it controls the flow of the water. The banks control the flow of the water. Water is known as money, currency, cash flow, currency, money, water, currency. It's, so it's anti-admiralty law, as we've spoken about many and various times before, which means that UCC, universal commercial codes, are applied to human beings. So we are treated as stock, collateral, assets, inventory, whatever you want to call it, manifested. We have come from water onto land. Lee's just wrote a piece about the SES2K and the birth certificate, and how we are born and what we're considered and what our statuses are, and at the age of 16, when you get your national insurance number, you become an employee of the state, and the implications are implied in with all of that. So we're 5 minutes in, so I've said an awful lot there. There's a lot for you to go and research, but the UCC, if you go to court, and it's not a common law court, and they're governed by UCC, you know, universal contract codes, commercial codes, and you stand in court demanding your constitutional, inalienable, inherent rights, you're not going to get that, because it's not a court that's going to be governing, ruling you under common law. It will be under Admiralty, under Maritime, and under UCC. So you need to know about UCC, and you need to be able to quote it and reference it. I do not. I'm learning it too. We've said that we'll post the top 10, top 20 UCC useful codes for us to have a look at, see how we could use them, and how you can apply them. UCC 1, see, I've remembered this one because it's, I think, the most important, and the first one that I found out about. UCC 1-308. You reserve the right to be compelled by contracts that have not been disclosed to you. You reserve the right to be waive your benefits as you went benefits as an employee of the state, and you reserve the right to be tried under a jury of your peers under a common law court. You do not give them jurisdiction. It's you are waiving your rights to the state benefits, to being locked up, to being put in jail, to having fines given to you, to being salvaged under Admiralty law. And the judge, he may say to you, if you present this in court as an argument, if you actually do have a contract and take the stand, go into the dock, he will say to you, what do you mean by UCC? You've signed here, because you can use it when you sign your name, other than v coactus VC to reserve rights, to say you've signed under duress. VC is, you can also put under VC, or instead of VC, UCC 1-308. This is the universal code that says you reserve the rights to be compelled and perform under a non-disclosed contract, and reserve the right to waive all benefits, and not be classed as an employee of the state, you fiction, and also be, in the status of a man, as instead of the status of the fiction birth certificate. So yeah, lots happening. I'm taking on an amazing amount of information, and it's sinking in, and I'm confirming it, and I'm sourcing it, and we're getting it all out there. So you can't argue. Nobody can come in and say, what you on about, this is rubbish, that won't work, I've heard about doing this, or where is the proof? There is no proof, because this is not published information. This is not information you can go and get from a book. This is something that we are doing, that we are pioneering. We are lawful rebellion. Rebellion is like when we question authority. And why do we question the authority? Because the authority is not justified. It hasn't got jurisdiction. It's basically it's governing the people we've put in to govern our country and help us as our public servants, are now governing us, and now setting up computer automated unjust unlawful systems, of which they think we can be have contracts forced upon us, legislative law forced upon us against our consent, to profit and make money from, which is sidelining our constitution and inherent rights. And if you don't know the words and the ways to speak to these people, and the stance to take, and how to deal with the bailiffs and the warrants and the courts and Nottingham Business Centre, then you'll find that you'll end up in trouble. And these people, one last thing, the Nottingham Business Centre and the likes of, even the council, and with the tickets, you ring them up and you ask them to speak to a judge. You say, where was the court, where was the case, where was my chance to present myself? There isn't anything like that. There's nobody in the bulk handling centre with any legal experience whatsoever, and there's no judges. It's all a fraud. And now we've worked out the council as a corporation. They're trying a corporation, forcing on the natural living man a statute-made law which sidelines your common law and constitutional rights to make money from you without being put in front of a judge and having your case put forward. Is all null and void. The warrants are null and void. The liability orders are null and void until somebody puts a name there and puts their liability, their name for the liability of that, whether it be a judge or someone working at the council or someone from the Nottingham Centre regarding enforcement officers coming round to your house. I don't think so. So have a look at that. Go and do some research. Look in the group. Have a look at the post. Look what Lee's put. Look at what I did yesterday, and I'll link this video on. And 9 minutes 30. I'm getting better. See you in a bit. Peace, love and light.